Anyways, now for this one. Remember when I mentioned Redditors? Well, we're about to learn about George Carlin, the original Redditor. Oh, I got a little bit too French there.
I'm sitting there and I have my notebook out and I'm enjoying the show and I wish I...
You know, he's a lot thinner than I expected for a Redditor. Maybe like the Redditors are like the humans from WALL-E, where they started off really thin and then just over time they just grew more and more massive.
I could live 1,000 years to watch this all develop. The rise of Russia, the rise of China, the Muslimization of Europe, the decline of the white race. It's going to be an amazing story as it develops, and I just wish I could see it all. I'm 70 now. I'll probably live to between 90 and 100, I think. And
wow, this has got to be the most soy-infused talk I've ever seen. Damn, he really is the original Redditor.
And I'll get to see some of it, but it is an interesting, exciting thing to watch if you can detach yourself emotionally.
Yep, he didn't even last a year. 1 week after his performance, boys. 1 week. And he was stone cold. Rip Bozo. And he died in California.
Balls, you fucking prick. I'll say it again for the dumb fucks in the back. Get the shot and wear a fucking mask. And I say, if any kid wants to go see a drag queen, who the hell cares? I mean, really, what difference does it make to you? A kid is a lot safer with a drag queen than priests. I can tell you that.
Oh, I don't know about that.
There's been going around Twitter the last month or two where people will post a picture of George Carlin with a made-up quote designed to sound like what Carlin would be saying if he were still around today. And talking about Carlin is something I've wanted to do on this channel for a while, so it seems like as good a time as any to get this off my chest. George Carlin is a cultural icon with many admirers on both the left and the right.
Who's admiring this guy? What?
With rants against political correctness, making fun of bleeding heart environmentalists.
He would have been absolutely unbearable to put up with if he was still alive. Yeah, I agree with that.
Paying lip service to free speech and a general antagonistic position.
Guy was actually a funny comedian back in the day. Really? Oh, man, this blew me away. A funny Redditor? Now you're just pulling my leg. For real? That's crazy.
Towards the establishment and the elites. It's not hard to understand why right-wing people would admire Carlin. But was he really our guy? Or was he just a little bit ahead of the curve in seeing which way the wind was blowing and in doing so propping up the current establishment? That's what we will examine today, the ways that George Carlin embodies the sheer essence of Reddit. Carlin was one of the...
You know what I need? I need a picture of Carlin, but with a fedora.
First observational comedians, or at the very least, he was one of the first comedians to be very successful doing observational.
Okay, he was actually a comedian. Okay, the son was right. Guy used to be funny. Okay.
One of the things he's most well known for is his bit of the 7 words you can't say on television. As a big proponent of free speech, Carlin would use his platform to argue that it was silly to censor words because words cannot hurt anyone. And he could argue this while making people laugh about the absurdity of the situation. Here's a clip of him discussing the bit on the HBO Chris Rock show.
Okay, now one of your biggest things ever was the 7 words you can never say on television. It was piss, shit.
You want the right order?
What was the order?
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
Okay, mild chuckle from me. The Redditor sorry.
Said fuck twice. Motherfucker shouldn't count because it's a derivative of fuck, but I put it in anyway.
He was, but again, if he was still alive today, he would have turned all the free speech values he supposedly held. Alright, interesting. I don't know anything about this guy, so I can't confirm that. But interesting. This is fine, true. I actually thought he was going to splurt out 100 different racial slurs, but he didn't, so I'm kind of disappointed, but okay.
Yeah! Because when you put mother and fucker together, it's just...
It's a better word.
Yeah, it's Nothing's faster than a motherfucker.
As Samuel L. Jackson would agree.
That's right.
Nothing jumps higher, nothing stronger. Now,
Oh, he has not been to South Africa. We got many stronger words than that, trust me.
you know what's weird? Now you can say tits now a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. See, that's just it. And the interesting thing was you couldn't say tits, but you could say bazooms, you could go like this, you could say knockers, you could say knobs, but...
And nowadays on Twitch you can say apoba, apoba, apoba. And you can say plus 36%.
Tits, and it's a cute word.
You can say because tits are cute.
It sounds like a
But they won't let you say titty.
No. It's a strange. You know why?
No,
You
it
know
would
why
never.
I have all that inconsistent stuff? Because it's
True.
all bullshit. It's all bullshit to start with. You know, they can talk about fucking. You can talk about fucking. You can say, you know, you're gonna, and everybody goes, I know what he's talking about. Or in the newspaper, they can say F ... Well, everybody knows what it means, so the thought has been conveyed, and that's all language is. And you well, I don't say fuck. It's a family newspaper. How do you think the family got started? Fucking.
Okay, that was a good one. That was a good one. I will give him a point on the board for that one. That was actually a good joke. Okay, I'm surprised. I actually laughed at a Reddit joke here, boys. That was actually a good one. The family newspaper, that was actually good. Apopa? Yes, Kazedao. Apopa.
That's what it is.
All rich white guys seem to use soy
edit
energy now?
in those,
Yes.
soy jacks pointing, just to be clear, that wasn't part of the original HBO programming. I just couldn't help myself. But I don't think there's anything particularly terrible about what Carlin is doing here. It does sort of smack of teenage rebelliousness, like edginess for the sake of edginess, and there is something sort of Reddit tier about that. It's reminiscent of the I Fucking Love Science Facebook page. But
Oh, I don't use Facebook, so I don't know anything about that.
if I were going to critique it,
I'm sorry, you can't have science and Darwin in the same thing.
I would say that
that's just
there
mutually
is a sort of
exclusive.
surface level logic of who cares what you say? These are just words and you know what we mean anyways, and we can imply them, but we can't say them, and that's silly. That is the type of thing that maybe seems profound, but could also be pushed back on if somebody was willing to. In fact, it reminds me a bit of the Jon Stewart thing we discussed recently, where Jon Stewart was arguing that drag kids reading to children is just part of protected speech, and so if you love the Constitution, then you must love it when drag queens read to children.
That is gotta be the most retarded thing I ever read all day. Put Jon Stewart in jail.
If we all agree that free speech is vital, part of a free and open democracy, it doesn't mean that there can't be a discussion about what is appropriate for certain venues. There's a funny kind of performative thing watching Chris Rock and George Carlin talk about the words that you can't say on TV on a televised broadcast. But of course, HBO was a special subscription service which was understood to be for adults. Public television was accessible not only to children, but there's also
Why'd
just
your face
an
pop?
argument you could make that maybe you don't want to glorify profanity and vulgarity to the general public, lest you wind up with a vulgar and profane culture. There never seems to be any discussion from people like Carlin or Stewart on, is there a line at all? And if so, where is it? I mean, if you should be able to swear and use any word on television, should you be able to show porn? And if not, why not? These are just images, after all. They can't hurt anyone. What about snuff videos? If we all agree that certain words are vulgar and crass, and that those words are used for a certain effect, you know, a kind of shock value, then it's not really that insane to say, hey, there are some venues where this would be considered inappropriate. Carlin was famously arrested.
Wait, you can get arrested for profanity? I don't even know that.
In Milwaukee in 1972
Different times.
for performing his bit at a summer festival. This was really a huge win for him, as it massively raised his profile, and the charges were later dropped, the judge ruling that what Carlin did was protected speech. Now again, we could leave it there as a surface level analysis, but it's interesting to hear from the other side. Here in an article about it in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, we have a quote from former defensive lineman with the Green Bay Packers, Henry Jordan, who expressed surprise that the show would be as profane as it was. I have seen him many times on the Johnny Carson show, and I had no idea he would use that kind of vulgarity. Some are
Wait, so he used vulgarity on a family show? That's crazy, bro. Why would you do that?
Fest is supposed to be a family show. The article then goes on to describe how the arrest was made after numerous complaints from parents who had brought their young children to the show.
Okay, guys, you don't go in front of a family broadcast or televised anything and just use such bad profanity. That's crazy. Why would you do that? Oh man. Bro has no sense of morality.
Carlin would have known the environment he was in, but he went ahead and did it anyway. Personally, I have mixed feelings about this. While I generally think it's good that we have people who are willing to stress test the freedoms we have and walk the walk when it comes to free speech, I find vulgarity for the sake of vulgarity.
Hold up, someone's calling me. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I was on call. Waiting, no email for Sag game. Kick L. You're muted? Yeah, yes, I muted myself just so I could take a call quick. Apparently, they stole the coppers and now the water isn't working, so like, yeah, all that taps no longer work because someone stole the copper that powers the devices that like, sends water through the pumps to all of like the whole like city. Yeah, so. Oh, I just got a call from mom letting me know. Anyways.
Distasteful. You may call me a hypocrite for that, but as we'll see in this next clip, there was also certain types of speech and comedy which Carlin found distasteful.
I would defend to the death his right to do everything he does. The thing that I find unusual, and it's not a criticism so much, but his targets are underdogs. And comedy traditionally has picked on people in power, people who abuse their power. Women and gays and immigrants are kind of, to my way of thinking, underdogs.
Oh. So you can only criticize people of certain groups? What is this? This isn't free speech. This is hypocrisy.
And, he ought to be careful because he's Jewish.
I hear you,
and a lot of the people who want to pick on these kind of groups, the Jews are on that list. A little further, you got...
Yeah, I wonder why.
Women, gays, gypsies, blah, 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 and suddenly you find Jews. And Andrew,
suddenly Andrew's arrested.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, he should do what he wants, and...
Why does he get away with it, do you think, then? Well, we have never laughed at jokes about the
Well,
poor.
he's appealing, I think he's appealing largely. I think his core audience are young white males who are threatened by these groups. I think a lot of these guys aren't sure of their manhood, because that's a problem when you're going through adolescence.
This is actually peak Reddit right here. Damn, the soy is too much.
Could I be? I hope I'm not one of them. And the women who assert themselves and are competent are a threat to these men, and so are immigrants in terms of jobs and the
so that's why we as an audience then will laugh.
You say we. I don't think you're.
I mean, no.
But
I
think you're
collective we.
I think that's what is at the core of that experience that takes place in these arenas is a certain a sharing of anger and rage at these targets. And I'm sure Andrew isn't that angry at them. I'm sure he's playing it as a comic.
So here we have George Carlin responding to a question
The statue just got Bob Rossified.
about Andrew Dice Clay, accusing Clay of feeding into an angry white male rage which will someday be turned on him, a Jew. Of course, Carlin's own audience would have been largely white males. This was the year 1990, and so the demographic shift back then is not what it is now 30
Some things just never change, boys.
years later. That doesn't mean that an Andrew Dice Clay show looked like a Klan rally, of course. I'm sure there was lots of people who just were able to laugh at those jokes. But you see the Reddit tier thinking of Carlin. You see the
Yeah, I
don't
can see
punch
it.
down, always punch up. And when you scrutinize what does punching up actually mean, well, you can make fun of the rich and the powerful, and you can make fun of white people and Christians, and that's it. Everybody else is protected by
They're all off
being
limits.
lower on the progressive stack. And man, did Carlin love to have a go at white people and Christians.
If you want to slow down that drug traffic, you got to start executing a few of these fucking bankers.
Does he know? Does he know?
White, middle-class Republican bankers.
Not the bankers I was thinking of, but interesting.
And I'm not talking about soft American executions like lethal injection. I'm talking about fucking crucifixion, folks. Let's bring back crucifixions. I'll guarantee you one thing. You start executing, you start nailing one white banker per week to a big wooden cross on national TV, you're going to see that drug traffic begin to slow down pretty fucking quick. Pretty fucking quick. That's our
So he just literally just hates white people and Christians. Okay. Very Reddit.
new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya, you got some brown people in your country, tell them to watch the fuck out, or we'll goddamn bomb them. Well, when's the last white people you can remember that we bombed? Can you remember the last white? Can you remember any white people?
This country was founded by a group of slave owners who told us all men are created equal.
Oh, he also doesn't know about that.
Oh yeah, all men, except for Indians and niggers and women, right? Always like to use that authentic American language. This was a small group of unelected white male landholding slave owners who also suggested their class be the only one allowed to vote.
Smug,
Based, by the way.
greedy,
Repeal the 19th.
well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that.
Another abomination. White guys over 10 years of age who wear their baseball hats backwards.
That wasn't even remotely funny. I don't get it.
Listen to me. White guys, let me tell you something. You're never going to be as cool as black guys. It's not going to happen. You're white and you're lame.
Isn't he white, though? I feel like that doesn't track. This is shit, a guy with his cap
Fucking
backwards.
Law of nature. Turning your hat around and learning a complicated handshake will not make you cool. And another thing, I don't think white people should be trying to dance like blacks. Stop that.
Remember who you are. Ballroom dance, boys. That's the way to go.
Stick to your polkas and waltzes. And that repulsive country line dancing shit that you do.
Bro, diss the country line dancing? Off with his head.
And be yourself, be proud, be white, be lame, and get the fuck off the dance floor. Now,
I wonder how much vegetable oil and soy this guy has just consumed in his life.
so this next piece of material, like most good ideas, is fairly simple. It's just a list of people who ought to be killed.
This is actually scary like Reddit. Yes, we must kill all of the hateful, bigoted, straight white male Christians.
White guys who shave their heads completely bald.
Ooh, this sounds like repressed trauma about his receding hairline.
Well,
They're so ashamed they lost 11 hairs, they're going to try to turn it into some kind of a masculine statement. I say, hey, you goofy-looking, baldy-headed fuck. Looks good on black guys. On you, it's ugly, repulsive, and disgusting. You want to be bald? Do what I did. Wait a while.
I literally have a blank stare because I have nothing to add to his insanely mundane, unfunny jokes.
Yeah. Meantime, there's no excuse for running around looking like a freshly circumcised dick. When is this shit gonna go away? When are these fat, arrogant, overpaid, overfed, overprivileged, overindulged, white-collar business criminal asshole cocksuckers gonna put out their cigars and move along to their next abomination?
Sir, you dropped your fedora.
White pussy businessmen sucking on a big brown dick. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it was. Yeah. A big brown dick. Sigmund Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Oh yeah? Well, sometimes it's a big brown dick.
You know, the amount of times you mentioned this, I'm pretty sure he's gay.
With a fat, arrogant, white-collar business criminal asshole sucking on the wet end of it. But hey, the news is not all bad for me. Not all bad. You want to know the good part? Cancer of the mouth. Good. Here, as long as we're talking about theme restaurants, I got a proposition for you.
What?
I think if white people are going to burn down black churches, then black people ought to burn down the House of Blues. Huh? What a fucking disgrace that place is. The House of Blues. They ought to call it the House of Lame White Motherfuckers.
Dogs fighting? Not fighting, they're just barking because they're retarded. There is unfortunately nothing I can do about them.
Inauthentic, low-frequency, single-digit, lame white motherfuckers. It's a fucking sacrilege. In the first place, white people got no business.
Shut up!
Playing the blues ever, at all.
Oh my gosh, they're so annoying. Excuse the dogs, I'm so sorry, guys.
Ever. What the fuck do white people have to be blue about? Banana Republic ran out of khakis? Huh? The espresso machine is jammed? Hootie and the Blowfish?
See, this is why democracy was a mistake, because you have retards like this that get a vote. And their vote is as equal to yours as yours is to theirs. A scary thought.
You're breaking up? Shit, white people ought to understand their job is to give people the blues, not to get them. It's a good thing Lewis and Clark never had a bad hair day. Or Daniel Boone, huh? Custer? He had a really bad hair day. But he had it coming, that blonde, blue-eyed criminal fuck.
Right. There is more, just so you know. We could keep going, but I think you get
There's probably hours and hours
He's
of
hitting all
content.
the beats, isn't he? White people are lame, black people are cool, white people are murderers and colonizers and racists and thieves, etc., etc., etc. Granted, these are just jokes in a comedy performance. We shouldn't clutch our pearls too hard.
Oh man, I don't know. With all the jokes are completely unfunny. A dog bros trying to warn me about the copper thieves jacking his pies. Bros ignore them. That's already too late, man. The water's already cut.
But as we already saw in the Larry King interview, Carlin didn't reserve his critiques of white people just for the comedy stage. And there's another sit-down interview with Carlin where he makes it abundantly clear that his antipathy towards white people is not simply for comedic purposes.
You know, for a person that started out, was raised in Harlem, to now finding yourself celebrating your career in, of all places, Aspen.
Yeah.
I can't think of two more antithetical places than Harlem and Aspen.
Aspen, way too many whites.
Way too many whites.
Way too many whites. In fact,
This guy just sounds racist. You should put him in an asylum. Problem solved.
go around the world, way too many whites, even though they're outnumbered. Way too many. I can't wait until the brown and the black people begin showing up in the big war canoes to get their stuff back. Wouldn't that be fun? Isn't that going to be great? Because they're already showing up in England, you know. All that colony stuff, the Chickens are coming home to roost. Hey, the food stunk, man. The food stunk. They're all going back. And it'll happen because the big blue-eyed man from the north is going to have to pay the price.
That's right. If symbolically, we should all wear pilgrim suits.
Yes.
Some of you watching will have already been familiar with this material and you're just here for the hate watch. But some of you probably like Carlin and you're...
I'm in the middle ground. This is all new to me, and I don't like the guy, and I think he's a complete retard.
Coping right now, and you're saying, LP, even in that interview, they're laughing, it's not super serious. Well, there's one last clip I want to show you that should remove any doubt of what Carlin thought of you if you are a conservative, a Republican, or especially if you are a Christian conservative.
I'm a Christian white boy. Does that mean he hates me, bros?
But I've never been comfortable with, because I'm at heart a lefty. You know, if I fell out of an airplane, I would land on the left side of that line. You know the difference that I define the difference between right wing and left wing. People to the right of center. Well, let's start with the people to the left. People to the left of center, liberals, Democrats, populists. They're interested in people, human beings, and human values. People to the right of the line, Republicans and rich people and right wingers, they're interested in property, not people. And they're soulless. They're without soul. They don't really care. These Christians don't.
Strong words from the guy who doesn't care about certain groups of people.
Do Jesus' work, which is to feed the poor and take care of the ones who can't help themselves. That's what their Jesus said. Feed those who have no way. To take ones who have nothing going for them. Help them in my name. Don't even want to know about it. Where's that tax return? I want my what do they call it? The rebate. It's goofy. It's just goofy.
George Carlin was a self-righteous and hateful hypocrite. Every study on the topic of charity finds that conservatives donate more to charity than...
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's just the Catholic Church in general is the most charitable organization that has ever existed for the last couple of hundreds of years.
Liberals, including this 31-study meta-analysis, which concluded that political conservatives are significantly more charitable than liberals. Carlin must have known this on some level, which is why he makes
the best liberals have got is suicidal empathy.
Little dig at deductions.
Not charity.
That's the word you're looking for, by the way, George. It's deductions, implying that the only reason Christians give to charity is to save money on taxes. I tried to look up if Carlin was known for doing charity work, whether donating or doing shows for good causes. Most comedians do this at some point in their career, even if only for the PR, but I couldn't actually come up with anything about this on Carlin. You come up with some bits where he's making fun of charities and activists.
So the guy who is like, yeah, all of those racist white people never give you charity. Bro never gave the dime of his own money. The hypocrisy never ends.
The word donate, donation, or charity doesn't appear anywhere on his fairly detailed Wikipedia page, much less the word philanthropist. There is a cracked article on the front page called 7 Huge Acts of Generosity by Celebrities You'd Least Expect. And I was thinking, okay, maybe in here, but it only mentions George Carlin as having hated Simpsons co-creator Sam Simon before going on to detail how Sam Simon donated $100 million to well, sure, George, tell us more about your humanitarianism, only to turn around and immediately dehumanize
the hypocrisy
half the population by calling them soulless. Interesting choice of words for an atheist, by the way. George Carlin was your typical champagne socialist hypocrite, hailing from Harlem but moving to Aspen of his own volition, only to bemoan the lack of diversity. He hated you. Do not try to claim him.
He was, in fact, the racist white person he hated most. Caught. True. I don't know why the AI mod flagged that. Weird, but okay. It was a perfectly fine comment.
A right-winger trying to
claim
George
That's fine. I could read it.
Own is as sad and pathetic as a lefty trying to claim Orwell. But Orwell described himself as a socialist. Yeah, back in the 30s and 40s. You know who also described themselves as socialists?
The Nationalist Socialist Party.
The Nazis. In 1949, George Orwell made a list of people who he suspected of being anti-white or homosexual or what he described as decayed, dishonest liberals, which he then provided to the UK government. Imagine calling out anti-whiteness in 1949.
How times have changed.
As much as George Carlin was the prototypical Redditor, laying the foundation for what we now know as wokeness, Orwell, the prototypical reactionary, was even more prescient. So we claim him in the ideological draft, and the leftoids get Carlin. It's as simple as that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know what you think of this video. Make sure to hit like, comment, subscribe.
I just realized that he was called I Hypocrite.
Peace out.
Now it makes sense.
Let's have a chew. Now when I count 3.
That was a good video, boys. Good video. Good video.
And then Norm Macdonald, for instance. Forget the sitcom.
Look, Taylor, I don't think you understand. You're a huge whore.
Forget the news on Saturday Night Live.
Thanks, I'm Norm Macdonald, and now the fake news. Well, it is finally
Clappy,
official.
yeah, big
Murder.
Clappy. Oh, we've got a little bit
Legal in the
of
state of
more stuff to watch
California.
though.
But his stand-up, well, again, what kind of a strange left field thing, and that appeals to me. Those are the ones I think of when I answer the question. Right?
Louis?
Yeah.
Louis.
I don't know. Chris is very presentational, and Chris talks about racial things, and Louis will probably be. Louis is probably going to make a career for himself like George Carlin, just
Lol.
get very, very prolific.
Norman actually
and,
funny. Nice.
Very respected.
That's interesting. I like the George Carlin thing. Same kind of wheelhouse, because it felt like George Carlin was never within the circles. He was as respected, but he never was as gigantic as. Even somebody like Richard Pryor. I felt like Richard Pryor was bigger. Now he might have been just better in a big room.
Right.
But
when I think Chappelle, I don't know. Some guys can perform, and they're funny.
Right.
And some guys just think funny. To me, George Carlin just thought funny.
But wasn't funny in a room.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was.
It was not funny.
Stand-up.
So yeah, that is interesting. I feel like just everything that I've actually watched about George Carlin, he was definitely peak Redditor. I can see why everyone calls him the original Redditor. All the talking points that you see on the fedora atheist, self-loathing, neck-bearded white people in Mama's basement, all their opinions are basically almost one-to-one with George Carlin. You should just round up all those people and pop them in the asylums and have them build bridges for you. Free labor. At least they'll be useful after that. They're clearly mentally unwell if they have this opinion. How about this even? If you hate the country you grew up in, you have a severe distaste for white Christian people, why don't you just deport them to the countries they're so fond of? Why don't you send that guy straight to Somalia? I'm sure he'll change his tune after he gets stabbed in the middle of the street. But anyways, that was an amazing video by I Hypocrite. Absolutely loved it. Alright guys, so now you have a perfect archetype of George Carlin, of which to not to copy. There you go. He's leading by example, by which it is the example that you should not follow. Okay, this is peak retardation. Anyways, that's gonna do it for today, boys. Thank you so much to everybody who came.